Here on the Colour of Country Life, Flow FM, we're speaking with the senior proteins analyst at Rabobank, Angus Gidley-Baird. Thanks for joining us here on Flow.
No worries, Rikki. Good to be here.
Now, the price, if you look at it on the sheep front, we'll start there. It's tanked big time, but was that to be expected eventually?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite usual for lamb prices to drop at this time of year. Obviously, we start to see the new season lamb comes in, more supply on the market. They generally decrease. But what has been quite extraordinary this year is that normally we'd expect that price to start easing in August. Well, in August this year, we actually saw it going up. So we've actually seen record prices for the last couple of months. So it's expected that it's going to drop. And really, we're still sort of in very high territory at the moment anyway.
I'll be careful with this analogy, but it was a spring flush, and sometimes you have to flush a couple times before it finally goes down.
That you do. But, I mean, we're still getting very strong prices. And I think it's reflective of that global market that we're seeing, some very strong US demand at the moment. China's still pretty good as well, and lamb just being one of those products that there are not many other suppliers in the world. So we're in a very good position with it.
And I think I spoke a few weeks ago with someone about how the growing, if you like, subcontinental population around the world is still driving that demand, even out of the US, for instance, for sheep meat.
Yeah, it has. I mean, there are a couple of different markets in that US. There's the Hispanic side that have traditionally eaten sheep meat, and there's a strong demand out of them. There's also the new millennial consumer that's trying different things as well, and the way they're packaging and presenting it to the consumer is a little bit different to what it used to be, and attracting some of those people, new consumers to the market. And really, US sheep meat production, it does have a sheep meat industry, is relatively small and not really growing. New Zealand has been sort of stable, if not shrinking, for the last couple of years. Australia is sort of the only global supplier that's seen any real increase. So some favourable fundamentals in the market for sheep meat and lamb.
Yeah, I had heard that New Zealand, which seems counterintuitive, but they're moving in the cattle direction more in recent times. Yeah, well,
they've seen a lot of increased competition from land use over there. Dairy was one thing. We're now starting to see, as environmental concerns come up, there's questions around, sheep meat, sheep operators in the hill country with trees becoming a favourable option as well. So it does face increased land use and competition, and we have seen New Zealand sheep meat production pretty stable or slightly declining for the last couple of years.
Well, in the end, I guess the Kiwis have got a pretty thin little strip of land to work with, so the competition becomes acute on that front. Looking at the cattle price, that seems to be still relatively resilient at this point.
It is, and I mean it's a little bit baffling. And we can understand there's favourable seasons still that are encouraging producers to continue to restock. Some rebuilding herds, a lot of them just continuing to take advantage of high prices and trade cattle. We've got very limited supplies of cattle, 30, 35-year lows in terms of our herd inventory, we believe. So limited supply, strong demand from producers, that's keeping the prices up. We have had some good global markets, but we have seen in the last couple of months those markets have just started to turn a little bit. So we might see a little bit of increased pressure come on. Plus, we've got to be getting to the point now where some of those numbers are starting to rebuild and some of that demand from the producers starts to ease because our supply number starts to pick up.
Now, I feel like this is going to be a stupid question to ask, but it's been a hot topic across the week, the Glasgow Climate Conference and methane, and these commitments countries like the US have made to reduce methane emissions. Would it be too soon, or are we really going to see any reflection in the market here that Australia's not made a methane commitment and other countries have?
Look, from a livestock point of view, I think, no, we're probably not going to see much in terms of response. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to watch the meetings and the commitments as they unfold. The Australian livestock industry, being led by Meat and Livestock Australia with their carbon neutral CN30 program, is aiming to be carbon neutral by 2030 anyway. So there are a lot of programs in play. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of projects are actually underway at the moment on farm. And I mean, livestock, yes, they are a large emitter, but we've also got every livestock producer is a land steward, and the opportunities to sequester carbon are also there as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think feeding seaweed to cattle and those sorts of things are being investigated. So that's going to be something I guess people will keep watching in the years ahead. But Angus, look, thanks for your input on the market prices. Much appreciated. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem. Thanks, Rikki.